The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. Only 2 lanes of the Kamuning flyover southbound lane are passable as of today. This as the MMDA and DPWH are conducting an inspection of the damaged portion of the flyover. MMDA Chairman Romando Artes also announced that the southbound lane of the Kamuning flyover will be fully closed to motorists starting Saturday 6 a.m. The closure will be in place for 30 days. The International Coalition for Human Rights in the Philippines calls on the government to stop the, quote, harassment of members of various human rights groups. In a press release, the ICHRP said human rights groups, including Gabriela, Karapatan, and the Rural Missionaries of the Philippines, or RMP, continue to be dragged in courts on what they call retaliatory charges. Recall that the NTF-LCAC has filed perjury charges against some human rights groups members in 2019 to supposedly expose their alleged deceptions in the legitimacy of their activities. The ICHRP maintains that this act is a form of harassment and red tagging, and the group thus urges the government to drop the perjury case and to stop these attacks against human rights defenders. The ACT Teachers Party List is urging the government to review the history subject in the K-12 curriculum. In an interview with The Big Story, ACT Teachers Party List President Antonio Tino explained that Philippine history is now only taught in grade 5. Tino believes that this could be a reason for the proliferation of fake news in the country.
This is one major reason why there's been a proliferation of fake news, revisionist history, particularly our recent history. And of course, we have to mention the revisionism regarding the martial law period. While the review of the K-12 curriculum has to be done, we have to be vigilant that it is being done under a Marcos presidency.
Tino also said that it would be problematic to introduce mandatory military service in the basic education level because most of the students from elementary to senior high are still minors.
Even in senior high, the students are below 18 years old. That would be considered mandatorily requiring, in effect, children or minors to take up military service. So that would be problematic. The current setup where it can be voluntary in college-level education is working. So I better leave it at that.
We'll be back with more stories after a quick break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. Despite the slow increase in COVID-19 infections, many Filipinos remain hesitant to receive their first booster shot. And with this, an expert says the government should just focus on widening the first booster coverage instead of starting second booster inoculations for the general population. Jenny Dongon has the story.
It was October last year when Greg completed her first doses of the COVID-19 vaccine. This makes him qualified to take his first booster shot. But Greg is not keen on getting boosted just yet. As a tricycle driver, he admits that he's always in direct contact with his passengers. But he does not want to get the booster, as he no longer feels that there's still a pandemic.
Wala namang plano eh. Siyempre, sunod lang tayo sa gobyerno eh. Kung pag pinilit na naman tayo eh, mag-obliga na naman.
Oo, pero pag hindi?
Wag muna.
Bakit?
Parang wala naman kasi mahirap din kasi ng booster kasi maraming narinig, may daw, ng tawag ito. May mga side effect din kasing iba eh.
Oo.
Kaya mahirap din makipag-anuhan agad. Antay na lang pag inigpitan ng gobyerno, yan, pwede, pa-booster na naman.
Aling Carmen also refuses to get the booster for now, despite always being in contact with customers as a seamstress.
Okay na ako dun.
May takot. Ano takot niyo, ma'am?
Yun nga, kasi baka mamaya ma-over naman. Wala naman ako naramdaman so far doon sa tatlo. So bakit pa mag-ano tayo ng 4, 5? Mag-ingat na lang tayo.
The Health Department says it's more important for the general population to receive their first booster shots as COVID-19 cases in Metro Manila are slowly on the rise yet again. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere says infections may peak in the coming weeks.
Currently, we are averaging around 350 cases per day nationally. Kung saan pag tinignan natin from the previous week, tumaas talaga siya by about 50 to 60%. So pag tinignan ho natin, tuloy-tuloy po ang pagtaas ng mga kaso, albeit medyo mabagal naman po ang pagtaas, pero kailangan lahat tayo cautious.
DOH data shows that from June 13 to 19, the country logged over 3,000 new cases. Average daily cases this week reached 436, higher by 82% from a month ago. Case increases have also been recorded in the Ilocos region, Cagayan Valley, Caraga, and Calabarzon. Despite this, the Health Department clarifies the country is not experiencing another surge.
Unang-una, when you talk about the surge, it's a sudden increase in the number of cases. Tumataas, pero it is not hindi ganun kabilis ang pagtaas, hindi ganun kadami ang mga kasong na idadagdag. So, una-una, kailangan maintindihan natin, pumasok na po yung mga sub-variants ng Omicron dito sa ating bansa. Sila po ay mas transmissible kaysa dun sa original na Omicron. Pangalawa po, almost 100% capacity na po lahat ng ating mga sektor and establishments, and that has contributed na mas mabilis po yung nagiging transmission ng sakit.
Although cases are slowly rising, infectious disease expert Dr. Elsa Salvania does not believe that it's time to give the second booster shot to the general population. He says it's more important for the government to wrap up inoculation for the first booster.
Kailangan natin tutukan talaga yung first boosters. Yun yung mas incremental benefit between the second dose and the first booster. Malaki yung nabibigay na protection. But within the first and the second booster, yung added protection for 60 and above is significant, but below 60, hindi ganun kalaki yung added benefit.
The Private Hospital Association of the Philippines meanwhile notes that the rising.
Hindi naman kasi dear ang mga nakikita nating COVID. So yung hospital utilization rate natin hindi tumataas. Mainly mild and moderate. So they do not need hospitalization.
For News 5, Jenny Dongon, we are One News.
As more and more people become interested in vlogging, our social media feeds are now flooded with various content such as travel, pranks, or even mukbangs. But one content creator in Mindanao chooses to document her simple life in the province while making sure to give back to her community. Mobile journalist Yeda Pascual with the story.
With everyone stuck in their homes during the height of the pandemic, vlogs have become a favorite pastime, whether it be as a viewer or as a creator. For Aline, she just couldn't resist dishing out her own content. But instead of common materials like gaming, travel, or mukbang, Aline documents her simple life while giving back to her kababayans through her cooking content and feeding program. In her Inday Aline's Simple Life and Cooking YouTube channel, Aline shares a glimpse of life in Iligan City and her efforts to feed the community. According to her, it was her lifelong dream to cook and feed people. She decided to bring his dream to life by doing a feeding program twice a week.
Sobrang hirap din kasi namin noon, ma'am. So alam ko po yung pakiramdam, yung walang-wala din po. Masaya lang na makapag-share po. Then gusto ko din maranasan ng ibang bata kung makakain ng masarap na pagkain.
She started in 2019 and she intends to continue this initiative for as long as she can.
Ipagpatuloy ko po siya hanggang kaya ko po, hanggang kaya po ng resources ko, ipagpatuloy ko po.
The Inday Aline's Simple Life and Cooking channel has now garnered 36,000 followers. Mobile journalist Dieda Pascual, We Are One News.
And those are the top stories at this hour. Join us later at 11 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Just register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime and anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.